Hello. Hi. So today is all about performance preparation, talking about auditions, talent shows, open mic nights, any situation in which you're going to be getting up and performing in front of people and how to prepare for that. So, quick overview of what to expect. First, we'll talk about song selection, choosing a good song in a good key, and choosing a song that's going to show what you want it to show. Second, talking about accompaniment. That's how you're going to be accompanied. Sometimes it'll be acapella, particularly if it's an acapella group audition. Other times you'll have a pianist there. Sometimes you might be accompanying yourself if it's an open mic night. Other times a karaoke track or instrumental track of some kind will be involved. So thinking about that and preparing with that. Third, talking about steps to rehearse. Fourth, talking about building confidence, managing your nerves, because nerves are always going to be an issue. Even, people at the highest level still deal with nerves. Of course, it gets better, but I don't think it ever really goes away. And then last, debriefing your performance afterwards. Maybe you had a great performance, maybe it was a little bit disappointing, and how you can prepare for next time. Quickly saying hi to people in the comments. Nosifo saying, hey. Nosifo discovered they're a mezzo-soprano instead of an alto. Cool. Now you know that. You can search for mezzo-soprano warm-ups and good songs for mezzo-sopranos as well. Ruby, Trap Bunny, Rishikesh, hi guys, welcome. Excuse the trash truck. Hope that's probably pretty loud, and I'm sorry about that. Usually my trash day is Friday, but we had road work, so it's Saturday. Okay, it's passing. So first up, talking about song selection, and our first consideration is this song appropriate for the setting? So thinking about what setting you're in, an open mic night, an audition, a talent show, someone's wedding, we want to make sure we're choosing a song that's appropriate for that setting. And the best way to determine that, particularly if there's someone who's putting this event on, whether it's an audition or a talent show of some kind, is to ask the organizers, are there any things that I should stay away from, or is there anything in particular you'd like to see? This really applies to auditions, particularly for if you're auditioning for a musical or a choir of some kind. Oftentimes those groups will have specific requirements. For example, if you're auditioning for a musical, many times the panel will say, we do not want to hear any songs from this specific musical. Or we do want to hear songs from musicals. We don't want pop or rock or R&B. Other musicals like Hamilton, In the Heights, musicals that actually do have some, pop and R&B influence, will want to hear that. So they'll say, yes, you can sing a pop song. You can have a song with rap in it. We want to hear that ability. So asking yourself what's appropriate for the setting, and then reaching out to the people organizing to see if they have any tips for you. Second, if there is a time limit or an audition cut, again, this doesn't apply as much to an open mic night or something more casual. But if you're going into an audition, they are on a time schedule and they don't typically have time to listen to an entire 4 to 5 minute song. A lot of times they're going to ask you sing 16 bars or sing 32 bars. Maybe they'll say sing a verse and a chorus. So then your job as the singer is finding the best audition cut, is what we call it, and determining what cut or what portion of the song showcases my vocal abilities the best. If, for example, you're singing a cut from, I'll pick a very overdone song, but let's say you're singing a cut from Defying Gravity. By the way, don't do that. But and if you choose the beginning of the song that's low and pretty easy, that is not going to come across very well, because if you say, I'm going to sing Defying Gravity, that's kind of setting up your the people listening to you. You're causing them to expect that you're going to sing those crazy high belted notes. And if you don't do that, it kind of feels like a cop out. So anyways, considering what's the best cut, what cut of this song do I feel confident with, and do I feel showcases my vocal abilities the best? Another consideration in song selection is your age. This applies more to young singers than older singers. Young singers, I implore you, think about the content of the lyrics and the story that you're telling. If you are a 6-year-old singer, an 8-year-old singer, even a 12-year-old singer, singing about really mature themes like, relationship, heartbreak, and really heavy stuff that hopefully you haven't yet experienced in your life, it's not ideal. There are plenty of songs that will be age appropriate for you and not just kid songs, So for example, a really good kind of age appropriate song for younger singers would be Fight Song by Rachel Platten. Lost Boy from Ruth B. That's maybe a little bit on the younger side, but it's a really sweet song. Lots of songs by Sarah Bareilles kind of have this sort of empowerment, cool song, but it isn't talking about, your 5th breakup of the year. So consider that. Remember that the song that you choose, it's not just about the notes that you're singing and, sounding impressive. It's also about communicating a story. And so if you're a young singer, you want to be able to connect with the story that you're sharing. And anyways, Disney songs too. Sorry, throwing that out there for young singers. Oftentimes the character is on the younger side, so it's kind of tends to be a more age appropriate thing. Songs from Moana or Coco, great for young singers. Another consideration is your strengths and abilities. I know that a lot of singers, when they think about putting their best foot forward, they might think, I need to choose a song that's going to be high and belted and has a bunch of runs because that's what's impressive. I'm going to say that if that's your strong suit, go for it. And if it's not, don't. Let's take me, for example. I am not a high belter. My voice does not work. My voice is not very happy belting, at least at this point in my life. I'm much happier mixing. And so I'm not going to choose a song that's high and belty. That's not where my voice shines. I'm going to choose a song that shows the warmth of my voice or my facility going from my lower register to higher using more of like my mix and head voice. I might show my agility or, those are my strong suits. So determine what your strong suits are and where that kind of sweet spot is in your voice. It's not impressive if you sing a really difficult song, but you don't sing it super well. It's kind of like you're shooting yourself in the foot. If you choose to sing Chandelier or Halo or, these songs that are super, super high and also overdone. So that's actually my next point is choose a song that is not overdone. And you might have to do a little Googling to figure that out. But basically, if a song is really, really popular, there's a good chance that it's overdone, especially if a song, let's say it's a newer song. If it's been at the top of the chart, like Someone You Loved by Louis Capaldi, I would not choose that song for multiple reasons. Number one, people are probably tired of hearing it by now. Back like a couple of years ago when Hello by Adele was like on the radio, you could not escape that song. Not a great song choice because the song starts and your audience or your audition panel already knows what's coming. Like there's no surprises. Basically what ends up going through your audition panel's mind is can they sing this song like as good as Adele, or can they sing this song as well as Lewis Capaldi? You're kind of setting yourself up to be compared to the original singer. So that's why if you want to sing, let's say, an Adele song, a Beyonce song, a Lady Gaga song, choose a song by them that is less well known and less overdone. That way, you're setting yourself up for less comparison to the original artist and less comparison to every other singer who's sung that. We've all heard a million covers of those super well-known songs. So you can do yourself a favor and not, go against the grain a little bit. And then my last point for song selection is putting the song in the best key for your voice. Now, this is different if you're auditioning for a musical. The thing about musicals is that you don't have flexibility over the key within the musical itself. And that's because it's not just a standalone song. There's, the overture and the songs that come before it. They all fit together. And so there's, I can't think of a circumstance in which you could change the key of a song in a musical. So let's say you're auditioning for Sweeney Todd and you are going out for the part of Joanna, and Greenfinch and Linnet Bird is just a little too high for you. And you're like, I wonder if I could put this song in a lower key in my audition. That's not a good look, because that shows the audition panel that you're uncomfortable with that higher key, and that higher key is required within the show itself. Other kinds of performances, though, talent shows, open mic nights, almost any other circumstance, no one cares if you change the key of the song. No one. And most people wouldn't even know. Most people in your audience are not going to have an app on the phone checking the key of the song. They're not going to be like, a chandelier is usually in this key and this person did, 3 half steps lower. They're not going to care. So if moving the key lower or higher, depending on, where that song is sitting in your voice, if that helps you sing it well, do it, because that's what matters. I don't care if you're singing in the original key. If you're struggling and straining and cracking, don't do that. So I'm going to put an article in the comments and quickly check if we've got some questions. So an article on, oh, hey, Rishi's commenting on the Billy Joel in the background. We've got some others. Cat Stevens up there too. Is that? Anyways, that's a record case my husband built. Pretty cool. Okay, I'm finding this article for y'all, and our next point is talking about accompaniment. So any questions, throw them in the chat. Otherwise, we'll move on to accompaniment. Okay, so this article is how to choose a good song for your voice considering range, registration, and style. And it'll take you through some different considerations, particularly with, finding a different key if you need to. And then I also have a list of songs with a range of approximately 1 octave. And I have lists of singers as well with different voice types. So here is this. There you go. And I'm writing an article really soon on transposing tracks and going through that. It's a little bit more involved. But in the meantime, there's that article for you. And another site that's really helpful that I've had some students use with success is Singing Carrots. And here it is in the chat as well. Singing Carrots, you'll input your vocal range and it'll tell you songs that will fit within your range. So that's pretty cool as well. All right. So talking about accompaniment. Accompaniment, as we said before, it could be you're accompanying yourself. It's wherever the instrumental is coming from. So either it's you're, playing ukulele or piano or guitar. Perhaps you have, maybe there's a house band. Maybe it's like a lounge situation in which there's a house band and people can get up and sing with the house band. Maybe it's a karaoke bar that you're performing at. Obviously, karaoke tracks. And we can't change the key of those either for karaoke bar performances. For home performance, you can. Most auditions, they'll have a pianist there, so you need sheet music for them. Anyways, there's many different circumstances. For most singers just practicing at home, I've got a good source for good quality karaoke tracks that you can actually transpose. It's a very, very small fee. I think it's $1.99. Hi, Noku in the comments. So if you do need to shift the track without it distorting, I recommend you go to that site right there. So if a karaoke track is the way to go, you can look for one online. There's plenty of karaoke tracks on YouTube, and there's even karaoke tracks in different keys. But karaokeversion.com, I really like that for finding a good track and being able to shift the key on there as well. If you're singing with a band, if it's something kind of formal, you'll probably, you might have a dress rehearsal with the band. Maybe not. And if you're singing with a pianist, say you're walking into an audition and there's a pianist, both of these tips will apply. So whether you're working with a band or a pianist, you want to know how to communicate with the instrumentalists. So you want to be able to give them a good tempo, because that's what they'll ask you. They'll ask you what tempo. And don't clap or snap to determine the tempo. Just sing a little bit of the song. So let's say you're singing Jingle Bells, okay? And it's not helpful if you go, because you might be inaccurate anyways. So if you're like, here's my sheet music for Jingle Bells, and they ask you, what's your tempo? You can just think about it a little bit, think what speed do I normally sing this at? And then sing a little bit for them. Sing, jingle bells, jingle all the way. And then they'll pick up the tempo from that, and then they'll start accompanying you. And a good pianist or a good accompanist is going to follow you. Sometimes that's not the case, but just know that's kind of their job, is to follow you if your nerves are causing you to maybe speed up a little bit or slow down. But of course, the best way would be if you keep a steady tempo, if you give them the tempo that you're about to sing, and then you sing with that tempo. Another thing actually two things. One, you can ask them to get your starting note. So I was just working with a student the other day who was concerned about finding her starting pitch. She's auditioning for a musical. And I told her, you're going to walk in, you'll, say hello to the pianist and ask them, know what your starting pitch is, and then ask them, hey, would you mind playing a D sharp for me? And they will do it. I can't imagine a circumstance in which they said no. So you can ask your pianist, hey, can I get a G, or whatever your starting pitch is? And they'll play it for you. You can get it in your head that way. Second tip about singing with a band or pianist is know what your intro sounds like. And ideally, know how to get your starting pitch from the intro. So that's going to depend on your audition cut, what your audition cut is. If you're starting from the beginning of the song, that's pretty easy. The intro is going to be, what it is on the track. But know what that intro sounds like and test yourself. See if you can pick out your correct starting pitch from the intro. This is kind of very specific, but if you do have sheet music and you're giving it to a pianist, there's a couple different ways you can make their life a little easier. You got to think about being that pianist, seeing your music for the first time and making it really, really clear for them what to do. So if you have an audition cut, you'll want to actually draw on your sheet music, say, pianist start here, I start singing here, whatever it is. You can also, so it depends. There's two ways I've seen for setting up your sheet music well. It's not good to give your pianist a book, because think about them putting that book on the stand. It's not going to stay open unless it's like a spiral bound book. If it's just a regular like book, they're going to have to use a hand to keep it open. And guess what? They need both of their hands for the piano. So the two ways that are best to give sheet music to either whoever's playing for you, but usually a pianist, will be to put your sheet music in sheet protectors and have it so that the pianist doesn't have to turn pages very often. So for example, if we were putting music in sheet protectors in a 3-ring binder, normally we would just, put one sheet here and then they would have to turn and there'd be a sheet and a sheet. Cut out that work for them. So have it so that the first two pages of your music are here. So basically on the back of one sheet protector and on the front of the next. I hope that makes sense. If you have questions on that, Google, how to assemble music for a pianist in an audition, something like that. Okay, so that's the first way, is using sheet protectors in a 3-ring binder. That way it's staying open and turning the pages is very easy. The second way is to print it out on paper and then actually lay out your sheets in front of you, lay out your sheet music and tape them together. So tape it, excuse me, I'm going to mute myself so I can cough for a second. Wait, did I mute myself? I didn't. There we go. I actually might have changed my polar pattern. All right, we're back in business. So, if you tape your sheets together, you would be able to kind of fold them accordion style. But what that does is it allows your pianist to spread those pages out and never worry about a page turn. Of course, this is not going to work if you have a 20-page song, but if you have, 3 pages, maybe 4 pages, that'll easily sit on the little, music stand that's built into most pianos. So that's another way. Typically, when I learned that method, it was when I was taking jazz voice lessons, and so that kind of seemed to be the way to do it for jazz people. Anyways, last, if you're accompanying yourself, you play an instrument, make sure that your accompaniment is adding to your performance and not detracting from it. Something that we see, you probably have seen this on like American Idol or any of those shows where sometimes the auditionee can, is that what you call it? Auditioner? Whatever. The person auditioning, when they're allowed to accompany themselves, sometimes you can tell that that person like just started playing guitar and they probably shouldn't be using it. So if you feel like you're struggling and a lot of your mental energy is having to go to playing that instrument, consider singing acapella, singing with a karaoke track, exploring the other options. You might be thinking, oh, it's going to be impressive if I play and sing, because then I'm, a double threat and I'm cool. But it's not cool if you're struggling. And it's not cool if you're having to really concentrate on your fingering and your tempo kind of gets off, and then you have less mental energy to dedicate to your singing. Remember what you're doing. If you're auditioning and you're auditioning your vocals, that's the important part. I don't think they really care about your, guitar or piano ability. Sure, it might be icing on the cake if you're great. And if you're a singer-songwriter and that's normal for you, if you're like, oh, I always play when I sing, sure, that probably will be a little bit of a security blanket for you, so you don't feel just totally, exposed standing up there without an instrument. But if you're like me, if you're a beginning instrumentalist, I'm a beginning ukulele player, not so wise to be bringing in that variable and have it potentially detract from your vocal performance. All right. Third, steps to rehearse and polish your performance. I actually just wrote an article on this, and gonna read through the comments really quickly. Vivian saying she was late. Vivian, it's all right. We're 25 minutes in, but you can get those 25 minutes once we've, once we're done for the day. So we've already talked about, if you are here late, we've talked about song selection and accompaniment. And now we're about to talk about steps to rehearse and polish your performance. And I am going to get that article for you as well. So take a second. If you've got a question, go ahead and let me know in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to get this article I wrote for you. And take a drink of water, and I'll mute myself for that. I wrote a lot of articles this week, which was great, but it means that I'm having to scroll a lot. Okay, I think I've got it. And I'm going to copy this and actually put it in the forum, because this is, as of yet, it's an unpublished article, so I can't just give you a link like the other one. Okay. Here goes. Copy. Thank you for your patience. I think you will find this helpful. That's why I'm taking the time to do this right now. I hope everybody's safe and healthy, by the way. I know we have so much going on right now. Thank you for being here with me. I'm appreciative of that. Okay, see below for unpublished song work article. Here we go. Haha. All right. Oh, I need to select a category. Yes. Open discussion. Okay. Here is that link. Long awaited. There you go. So you can follow along with me if you click that link, and I'll walk you through some of these steps. So step 1, choosing a song that fits your voice, and consider changing keys if it's too high or low. Step 2, we're skipping that for the time being. Step 2, learning the melody by rote. That means just listening to it and repeating what you hear. One of the tips in there that I included is looking for the sheet music of the song that you're learning, even if you don't read sheet music. I've still found it to be really helpful for beginning singers, because you can see visually a map of the melody. You can see if there's a big jump. You can see if it's a long note that, you're holding out one word for a long time. You can see if the melody is going up or down. And that's basically all you need to know about reading sheet music for now, is that a note or a note head that's higher on the page or on the staff is a higher pitch, and a note that's lower on the staff is a lower pitch. That's all you need. That's enough for it to help you out, I promise. It's so much better than just looking at a lyric sheet, because it's just, lyrics in paragraph form or, line by line, but even that is just not super helpful. So look up sheet music and my little sneaky tip is include PDF in your Google search, because if someone has uploaded that sheet music for free, then it'll show up. If you just look up sheet music, it's probably going to take you to a site to purchase it, and you don't need to purchase every piece of sheet music that you learn. So anyways, do that. And once you're familiar with the melody, you feel like you got it down, then step 3 is troubleshooting. This is oftentimes where a teacher comes in, but I've outlined this, how to do it for yourself. So at this point, you're asking yourself, what are the tricky spots in this song? And then here's the kicker. Why are they tricky? You have to determine why it's difficult in order to make it easier. So one really, really important note here, don't avoid the scary parts of a song. Don't avoid the high notes. And especially don't get into the habit of singing the song and then going da-da-da and just backing off, because the way that you practice is the way you're going to perform. Don't train yourself to stop when it gets scary. Go for that note. Even if you crack, honestly, it's better to go for it than to always stop and hold yourself back, because then you're training yourself to hesitate before that note, and it will not go well for you if you're hesitating before a big, scary note. So these are the steps I've outlined. Determine the issue. Think of a warm-up or a warm-up syllable that helps you with that specific issue. Sing the melody on that syllable and see if it's easier. If not, try a different syllable. Syllable, I just mean a different consonant and vowel combination. Add the lyrics back in, and then if necessary, modify vowels or consonants within the lyrics to make your job easier. So you're probably thinking, I have no idea what to sing on. So here I've outlined, this is straight from a book on, teaching singing, and it's consonants, what certain consonants are good for and what certain vowels are good for. So you might feel like it's totally random. Why are we singing on the syllable mum or bub or something like that? It is not random. And if it is random, then your voice teacher is not doing their job. Their job is to choose warm-ups to solve problems for you. So consonants, we've got 3 categories of consonants. Hard consonants, you want to use that if you have breathy tone. So if you're singing and it's getting too weak, too light, or you're even cracking, then you might want to add a hard consonant. We're building a warm-up syllable. Remember what we're doing here. So a medium consonant is pretty nice overall. If you're not sure what to use, you can start with an M or an N. It's pretty nice for mixing. And then a soft consonant, that's one in which airflow is increased. So singing on something like a Z, F, Sh, or H. That we'll often use with students who are squeezing too much and are not letting air through. So that's determining what consonant to use, depending on your issue. And then vowels, we've got narrow vowels, and I've written use for a lighter tone or more head voice quality. So if you're going for a section that's supposed to be really light, and you're having a hard time breaking into your lighter head voice quality, use something like an ooh or he to help flip your voice into head voice. Medium vowels, use for a balanced or mixed voice sound. As in cup and as in book. Those are our neutral or medium vowels. And again, you can kind of start there. If you're not sure where to start, use a medium consonant, M or N, and use a medium vowel or or And then wide vowels we use for a heavier tone or more of a chest voicey sound. So A as in hey and A as in yeah. Those just naturally have more energy to them and kind of go towards chest voice. So once you have trained on a helpful syllable, then we can add the lyrics back in. And in this article, I say the warm-up syllable you use, that's like the training wheels, and you might need to keep those training wheels on for a while. It might not be such a simple fix as you try singing on ba, 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 and you're like, oh, wow, I got it. And then go back to, and the rocket's red glare. Maybe it is. Maybe it's like, oh, yeah, I found that placement and now I'm good. But for a lot of singers, they're going to go, ba, 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 and they feel great. And then they go, and the rocket's red glare. And then they're having the same issue that they had before. So if that's the case, leave the training wheels on. There's no reason not to. There's no shame in that. We're using this on purpose. These vowels and consonants, they all help us in a certain way, and they can also hurt us. Like, for example, if your voice is cracking, you're not going to use a soft consonant like an H or a sh, because that's just going to, that's going to push you even further in the direction of light airiness. Okay, hope this is making sense. I talk a little bit about vowel modification. We did a live lesson on vowel modification, so definitely check that out. But that's the next step. If you have already sung on a syllable, you've added the lyrics back in, and you're like, okay, everything's going great, and the rocket's red glare, and then something weird is happening on glare. Maybe you're getting too shouty, glare, right? You might want to modify that vowel and use this same chart, the consonant and vowel kind of categories. So A, are you tracking with me? I hope so. This is exactly what I would do in a lesson with a student. If they're getting too shouty on the word glare, then let's troubleshoot. Okay, A, that's a wide vowel. That's naturally going to go toward a heavier chest voicey tone. So our vowel modification would be bringing that into a little bit more of a medium vowel. And the rocket's red glare, glare. Instead of glare, glare. I know it sounds a little different, but the tone is more stable. We could talk more on that, but go check out the other live lesson on vowel modification and it'll jump even deeper. Okay, step 4 then is stylizing. We can't just sing the notes and expect it to be an amazing performance. We've got to add our own style. We've got to add our own emotion to it. And this brings me back to this point that our goal in any performance, be it an audition, an open mic night, karaoke, your goal should not be a technically perfect performance. It shouldn't. I know you want it. I want it too. But that's not like the apex of singing. What we want more than anything is a performance that connects with people, that moves people, even if it's a fun song. So you might think I'm just talking about like really emotional ballads. No, even fun songs that get people dancing, that, make them smile. I don't want to watch a singer that is just singing all the right notes and has no emotion on their face, doesn't seem like they believe what they're singing about. That's whatever, the whole thing about singing that sets us apart from other instrumentalists is that we have words. We don't have just notes. We have words too. We have another layer of a story to tell. Of course, an amazing guitar player or clarinet player, the trash can's back, by the way. They can tell a story without words, and that is a gift. But we have words, so use them. That's kind of going back to one of my first points about young singers and choosing songs that are a little too mature for them. We want to connect emotionally to the song that we're singing. And those are really, that's the height of performance, is when you watch a singer who believes what they're saying, and maybe you connect as an audience member, maybe you connect with what they're saying, or it just moves you that they are just in that place. So anyways, technically perfect performance is impressive, but it's not the best. I don't think anybody yeah. It's impressive, but it's not the best. I hope you agree with me. I do think if you think about it, if you think about like the best concerts you've been to or the most amazing live performances you've seen just on YouTube, it's not just about cool vocals and fireworks. It's about communication. Anyways, so stylization. We're talking a lot about emotional connection, but stylization too is an important part of infusing that emotional aspect and making a song your own. So some of these stylistic elements I've outlined are phrasing, vocal fry, an airy tone every now and then, glottal onset, falling off of pitches, how you're using your vibrato, using a pop flip, vowel modification to be talked about, accent. We could interpret that one of two ways. I know I'm the one who wrote it, but accent meaning like if you're singing with a little bit of an accent or where you're placing the accent of, a certain phrase or a certain word, runs, slides, all of this stuff. If you listen intently for not just the notes a singer is singing, but how they're singing it, you're going to start to pick up on these things. And I promise no singer is just singing the notes. They're always doing something with the notes. So they're pushing a little bit more, or they're sliding up to a note, or just pay attention to that. I think before you decide to pay attention to it, you might just miss it completely. All right. And I'm going to check the comments real quick. Kimmy says, definitely agree. Music should have feeling and make you feel good. That's why we sing, right? That's why I sing, because it makes me feel good, whether it's, an emotional release or it just makes me happy, or it gives me a place to channel frustration or heartbreak. I think that's why we all sing and why we're all here ultimately. It's not just to be super impressive riffers, that's fun, but it's not the end all be all. Okay. 1 second. Noku is asking, are there any free apps? What are you looking for? What kind of app? Because I've got free app recommendations, but what kind of app? Just for fun, I'll send you some ear training apps, because if you're not doing any ear training, you should be. Super, super important. Here you go. Noku and anybody else. There's a good collection and a review of different ear training apps. Some of them are close to free. Some of them are free. So check those out. And I hope you find them helpful. Okay, we are getting to the end of our time together. So if you do have questions, please leave them in the chat. We've got to talk about building confidence and managing your nerves. I'm going to really quickly just run over once you've sort of rehearsed your song, polished it, added style, connected emotionally, then a couple things you can do to further prepare for that performance are recording yourself. I know it's painful, but recording yourself and watching it or listening back and making note of things you did well and things to improve on. You can also kind of simulate that performance by performing for a couple friends, maybe a family member. I know for me, it's honestly more nerve-wracking to just sing like in my living room in front of people I know. Like that honestly feels, I don't know, it just feels odd. Whereas auditioning and performing, maybe it's just because I have more life experience of singing in that realm where like people are there to actually listen to me singing and not just, my mom. Anyways, I love my mom. She's awesome. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is that performing even just in front of family members or friends, I do think that's actually good preparation because there's there's just kind of something weird about it that can kind of help simulate the weirdness of walking into an audition room and, putting yourself out there. Okay, so the more you can simulate what that's going to be like, the more you can get yourself into that headspace, the better. You are probably going to be dealing with some nerves on performance day, so try to put yourself in that headspace. Think about, what is it going to feel like as I'm driving there? What is it going to feel like as I'm waiting to go on stage? That's a recipe for nerves, is just the waiting. So how am I going to spend that waiting time? Am I going to go over my lyrics? Am I going to just breathe? Am I going to listen to a song or a podcast or something that relaxes me? Am I going to have a buddy there? Am I going to bring my brother or sister or friend and have them, be with me? Think about that. You don't want to get to your performance day or audition day and just have all these factors thrown into the mix that you have not prepared for. So building confidence and managing your nerves, the best antidote for nerves is thorough preparation. And this is the whole point. We practice, guys. This is why we sing every single day. It's why we warm up and work on songs. It's so that you can rely on that preparation. You're building technique that then is muscle memory. You won't have technique to rely on if you sing, if you practice this song a couple times and then get up on stage and expect it to go well. You can think of yourself as a vocal athlete in this way. Athletes prepare under, scary conditions. They're training knowing, okay, I'm going to be stressed. A lot is going to be on the line. I'm going to have opponents that I'm dealing with. I'm going to have a crowd that, if it's an away game, I'm going to have a crowd that's literally booing me. I mean, if you think about what athletes go through, we kind of don't have it that hard, but it is scary. It is nerve-wracking to put yourself out there. So you want to practice to the point that it's muscle memory. You don't have to think about it. You've done it so many times. This is a maybe tired quote, but you practice to the point, not that you are doing it right every time, but to the point that you can't do it wrong. That's how much practice is going to make you confident. And then we touched on this a little bit, anticipate potential issues and think of solutions. What if you forget the words? What are you going to do? So if I forgot the words, you can't stop. You can't stop and start over. So what are you going to do? One solution would be just continuing to sing the melody. So if you're, singing, let's say, again, you forgot the words to the Star Spangled Banner, and you're going, at the twilight's last gleaming, who's da 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 da. Honestly, I know it sounds silly, but that could be a solution, is just singing the melody. Anyways, think about that. What if you run out of breath? What if you run out of breath and you're like, da, 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 through the peril. And you've run out of breath at that point. Through the perilous fight. Grab a little catch breath. Technical problems. What if your mic stops working? What if your music started late? Okay, if there's technical issues, that actually would be a situation in which starting over is warranted. But you could keep singing. You could show that you're such a professional that even if your mic cuts out, you're fine. You're just going to sing maybe a little bit louder. Being able to handle problems in the moment, that's huge. That shows a lot about a performer. And I will say, especially if it's an audition, that is a really good skill to show that you can roll with the punches, because no performance is perfect. And there might be a time, let's say you get cast in this musical, there may be a time where your mic cuts out. Can you stop a musical? No, you cannot. That ruins the, the illusion that you're watching this, pretend thing happening. So what are you going to do? Think through those things. Think of solutions. And it really is impressive if a singer can make a mistake and then get back on track. That's a great sign. So that's something to practice. Remember before I was saying don't hesitate when you're going for that high note, because you're going to train then hesitation. Don't train yourself to stop. This is super, super common. And I know if you've taken a lesson with me, you're probably like, hey, you stop me all the time in lessons. And yeah, we're working through things. There's a reason for that. But within your practice and even within lessons with my students, I always try to give them an opportunity to sing through the whole way. And I tell them, I'm not going to stop you. Don't stop yourself. If something happens, roll through, because that's how a performance is. There is no stop and start. So that's just something to keep in mind. It's okay to be working on a specific section and kind of running it over and over. But if every time you sing a song, you will like stop if you make a mistake and then start over, you're training yourself to do that. So don't do that. Tell yourself, Camille, you're going to sing this song from start to finish. And even if you forget some words, even if you hit a bad note, keep going. Also, don't let it show on your face. That's huge with performance, because guess what? A lot of people in your audience won't know that you've made a mistake unless you tell them with your face. So even a bad, obvious mistake, like cracking on stage, that's happened to me, by the way. And if you don't let it bother you, if you go, and the rocket's red glare, and you just keep moving through, your audience will forgive you. And they'll be like, wow, she recovered really well. But what if I go, and the rocket's red, and I get all, scared and embarrassed? Then I've made a problem worse. And my audience now feels bad for me. And that is not a good feeling. You don't want your audience to feel bad for you. You're kind of there to entertain them. If they feel bad for you, they're not being entertained. So fake some confidence for the time being. Walk confidently, smile, sing with good posture. By the way, standing with good posture actually does have an impact on your stress hormones. You can look this up. If you are sitting or standing with like your shoulders rolled forward and you're in this really, unconfident position, your body's hormones actually respond to that. And your stress hormone, your cortisol, will actually increase. Whereas if you're sitting tall, they've actually done studies where, people will stand with their arms up, like in this super confident posture. Their testosterone increases and it gives them this, little hormonal boost of confidence. I have used this. Before a scary audition, I walked into the bathroom and I had my hands above my head and I was just like hyping myself up before the audition. And it went well. It went well too. I also, if any of you guys watch The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel on Amazon Prime, I read that the actress Rachel Brosnahan, I think is her last name, she does this too. She literally hypes herself up in the bathroom. She channels her inner Beyonce, because even though she is an incredible actress, seems really confident, she is scared and she is faking that confidence and using these little tricks like putting your body in a confident position. Another thing that can make you confident is the clothes that you're wearing. So performance is not a great time to be wearing clothes that are uncomfortable. If you don't wear high heels, don't wear high heels on a performance day. Wear shoes that are comfortable, that you can move in, that are going to make you feel awesome and strong. Because that too, that'll help to boost you up a little bit. And remember, your goal is communication, not technical perfection. So the more that you focus on the story, the emotion, the lyrics themselves, the better your performance is going to go, I promise. And lastly, debriefing a good or bad performance and improving for next time. Know that everybody has off nights. Everybody. There's no such thing as a perfect performance. And it's actually really a shame that a lot of our live music these days is not live. If you go to see, especially like a big artist, obviously an independent artist probably won't have sweetener tracks. But, if you're going to see Taylor Swift live, or, especially singers who are dancing around the stage a lot, the vocals that you're hearing are not the vocals they're actually singing in the moment. You can tell, like, if they're out of breath, yeah, that's probably a live vocal. But anyways, it's one of my pet peeves that's a thing now, because it kind of sets this unrealistic standard for what a live performance is. Live performances have flaws. And so anyways, know that you are most of the time going to be your own worst critic. The exception to that is online. So if you're putting a video on YouTube and you're getting trolls and hateful comments, that is par for the course. Unfortunately, we know this. People hide behind, the anonymity of being online, and so that's the exception to that rule of you being your own worst critic. I've gotten some pretty harsh criticism online, and everyone has. That's the thing. No one is immune. Anyways, what you can do if a performance was a bit shaky, ask yourself, what am I in control of? What can I do differently for next time? How can I prepare a little bit better? What went wrong in the moment? Because that's the way we learn, guys. If you make a mistake and it's painful, hopefully you're not going to make that same mistake again. And I know that's a tough lesson. I wish life didn't work that way, but hey, it's pretty effective. We'll say that. All right. So last couple minutes for questions. Tyler is asking, during auditions and live performances, are you required to wear headsets? I tend to get irritated while recording. Wearing feels more natural without them. Tyler, for most situations, you are not going to be wearing in-ears or a headset of any kind. Like for a typical audition or performance, no. Once you get to like really high level, say you're on American Idol or The Voice, that might be a situation. You can actually see, like, watch those singers and see if they're wearing an in-ear. But in general, I've never had to wear headsets for an audition unless it was specifically an audition for a recording session. So I did have something like that where it was literally auditioning in a recording booth. But that's not typical. For most things, you're going to be singing, hearing your accompaniment wherever it's coming from. No in-ears or headsets. Kimmy, thank you for joining. Kimmy already left. And Tyler's just being silly now. I won't read your comments aloud, but Noku, if you're still here, any specific apps that you were looking for? I'll give you one other app recommendation actually before we go. So this is an app that a lot of people use to pitch shift or slow down a track. It's called the Amazing Slow Downer. I know it's kind of a clunky name, but a lot of people really like this. So I'm going to just share it with you. The amazing slow down, or that Roni music, is the one. And last question, how do you become more confident in your singing? We kind of touched on that a little bit before. Practice, I think, is the biggest factor. And then experience singing in front of other people. You can expect nerves and butterflies. And from my experience, that doesn't go away, but you do get used to it somewhat. And I think a little bit of faking it as well. We talked about, putting your body in a more confident position, and faking it, because that's showing to your audience. If you're, confident, smiling, and you're not letting it show on your face when you make a little mistake, that really goes a long way for your audience having trust in you and being entertained rather than being concerned for you. All right, guys, I will see you next week. Thank you for joining. Hope this was helpful. Again, it's going to stay up, so I'll see you next time. Bye.